I think in terms of the iPhone refresh that's coming late September, I mean, I think most people are pretty much in agreement, as am I at this stage. We're looking for 3 new larger screen iPhones, and so you know the screen size is going to be really the focus. You're going to get a iPhone 10 Plus, which would be like 6.5 inches, which is huge. And I think that's the one that's meaningful because I think a plus size of the iPhone 10 was sort of meaningfully missing last time. And then you get a refresh of the iPhone 10, and then you get a larger screen again, over 6.1 inch LCD iPhone, which would be kind of the mainstream. But really, it'll be larger screens will be the driver. I think if you look at basically calendar 18, the big driver through the year has been higher ASPs. iPhone units have barely grown. It's really been the higher pricing that's driven them. I actually think we'll start to anniversary those price increases, but I think the unit growth could pick up at least a little bit here, and we could still have good iPhone revenue growth coming off of really, this has actually been the best iPhone revenue growth of the last 3 or 4 years.
Is there a point at which the screens get just sort of too big and maybe too big? Maybe people just won't want to carry them. I just got a bigger phone. It doesn't happen to be an iPhone, and it's fine. But there's a point at which they get sort of unhand-holdable.
You have to call them an iPad then.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, well, they're iPads. That I mean, personally, I'm not a fan of the huge screens, but
Yep.
I'm in the minority, I think. As I said, I mean, actually, from surveying people last year, the biggest disappointment with the iPhone 10 last year was that there was not a larger screen. So clearly, there are a lot of people who want bigger screens. And I think if it's think of it this way. I mean, people are living on their phones at this stage, whether it's social media or actually conducting business. So having basically a computer in your hand is what people want.
The amount of time people spend actually using the iPhone or any of these phones as phones compared with the amount of time they spend using them on Instagram or sending messages or browsing pages is, I bet it's 10 to 1 in favor of the latter, not the former. Let's turn to Tesla and Apple. Is the possibility of a tie-up or maybe even an acquisition by Apple something that's on your radar screen at all?
So this is something that I've talked about making sense in my mind. Obviously, I'm not planning on it. I wouldn't be planning on it. But I think that Apple, I believe that Apple is much more serious in investing a lot more in automotive than people generally think. I think people, in fact, if anything, the common wisdom has been that Apple's been pulling back from a car, but I think it's likely that Apple does launch a car at one point, mostly because of just market size. I mean, Apple is approaching $300 billion in revenue. If you want to keep growing that big a top line, you need huge new markets, and automotive is one. And I think the reason to, for example, acquire a Tesla would simply be that if you look at what Apple would need to do, Tesla's already been doing a pretty darn good job of it for the last several years. So you'd be basically, buying what Tesla's already been doing to date to catch you up in the market.